Welcome everyone. When dating younger women, not all older men are created equal. Some exude confidence, presence, and self-assurance, making them incredibly attractive. Others, however, unknowingly sabotage themselves by falling into habits that make them seem desperate, out of touch, or insecure. The truth is, age itself is not the problem. An older man doesn't turn women off. They're turned off by an older man who tries too hard, lacks self-awareness, or refuses to evolve. And the worst part, most men don't even realize they're making these habits. Number 1, trying too hard to look young. Mistakes. In today's video, we're breaking down 7 key behaviors that instantly make an older man unattractive to younger women. If you're serious about dating younger high-quality women, this is a conversation you cannot afford to miss. Stay with me until the end, because by the time we're done, you'll know exactly what to avoid, and more importantly, what to do instead to naturally command attention. Let's get started. The difference between an attractive and an unattractive older man. There are 2 types of older men in the dating world: those who effortlessly draw the attention of younger women, and those who repel them without even realizing. What the difference is in looks, presence, self-awareness, and energy. The attractive older man does not chase youth, he embodies maturity. He is confident, self-assured, and grounded in his own experiences. He does not try to fit into a younger woman's world. He lets her step into his life. He's already whole, his purpose well-defined, and his sense of self unshaken. This presence is magnetic because it offers something younger men. Habit number 2, acting superior or condescending, often lack depth with emotional stability. In contrast, the unattractive older man tries too hard to keep up with the younger crowd. He mimics their slang, adopts their trends, and forces himself into spaces where he does not naturally belong. Instead of he seeks validation, hoping that he will become more desirable, be acting younger. But this approach backfires. Women sense inauthenticity when a man tries to be someone he is not. He loses the quiet strength that makes him truly attractive. Instead of admiration, he inspires second-hand embracems. An older man's age does not repel younger women. His desperation propels them to deny it. A man who owns his years, who embraces his maturity year than running from it, is far more compelling than one who clings to an identity that no longer fits. Certainty is the foundation of attraction. A man who carries himself with quiet assurance, who does not try to impress, but instead allows his presence to speak for itself, commands attention. In any room he enters, many older men make the mistake of assuming that youth. Habit number 3, overtalking past experiences alone is the source of attraction. They believe younger women must match that energy at all costs because they are drawn to energy and excitement. But attraction does not come from pretending to be younger. It comes from embodying a level of confidence and presence that younger men have yet to develop. A man who understands this does not feel the need to prove himself. He does not chase, he does not overcompensate, and he certainly does not beg for attention. He knows that his presence alone is enough. When combined with genuine self-assurance, when a younger woman loses interest quickly, it is often because the man has unknowingly made one of the common mistakes that signal insecurity. Perhaps he seeks too much reassurance, simply asking if she is still interested. Maybe he changes his personality to match hers, abandoning his identity to be what he thinks she wants, or perhaps he places her on a pedestal, acting as if she is doing him a favor by spending time with him. None of these behaviors inspire attraction. Women are drawn to men who own their values, not men who seek permission to be worthy. The most attractive older men understand they do not need to compete with younger men or kiss youth. Instead, they embrace what sets them apart: maturity, confidence, and a life well lived. They do not need to prove. Habit number 4, being too eager or needy. Their worth because they already know it, and that certainty, that quiet strength, makes them truly irresistible. Now let's come to 7 habits that macrols quickly leave you. 1, complaining about modern women like it's a personality trait. A man who constantly laments the state of modern dating, who fixates on how things used to be better, who blames feminism or social media for his romantic struggles, is not the kind of man women find attractive. He may think he sounds insightful, like a wise observer of societal decline, but to women, he comes across as bitter and powerless. No one is drawn to a man who sees himself as a victim of forces beyond his control. Women do not desire a man who resents them. They want a man who understands them and navigates the modern dating landscape with confidence instead of frustration. When a man repeatedly complains about how dating has changed, he reveals more about himself than he realizes. He is not showcasing intelligence or awareness, he is showcasing His inability to habit number 5, ignoring physical fitness. Adapt. A woman hearing these complaints does not think he's right. Dating is terrible. She thinks this man is stuck in the past, unable to move forward. Attraction at its core is about movement. Women are drawn to men who embrace thrilled as it is, not those who yearn for a version of the past that no longer exists. A man who fixates on external factors, the rise of dating apps, shifting gender roles, the impact of social media, is a man who has given up his power. He sees the dating world as something happening to him, rather than something he actively participates in. Instead of refining his approach, understanding what women respond to, and improving himself, dwells on what he cannot control. He would rather blame an abstract concept than take responsibility for his results. This mindset does not inspire respect. It does not command attraction. It repels. Contrast this with a man who accepts the time-adorned dating world for what it is. He does not waste time lamenting how women have changed. He learns what they respond to and adapts accordingly. He does not view social media as an enemy. He understands how it influences attraction and uses it to his advantage. He does not resist reality. He masters it. This is the kind of man who stands out while others are caught in a cycle of frustration. He is the one who succeeded. But number 6, talking down about modern culture, not because he manipulates or deceives, but because he operates from a place of self-awareness and control. At the core of this shift is a fundamental principle: focus only on what you can control. You cannot control the past. You cannot control how dating used to be. You cannot control how women have evolved in response to cultural changes, but you can control how you respond to it. You can either resist the inevitable and grow resentful, or embrace reality and thrive within it. The choice is yours, but know this: no woman is attracted to a man who chooses to be a spectator in his own life, forever longing for a world that no longer exists. They are drawn to the man who adapts, who leads, who understands that power is not found in lamenting change but in mastering it. To flexing money in a way that screams insecurity. Money is an undeniable signal of success, stability, and capability. Women are naturally drawn to men who have their lives together and possess competence and control over their environment. A man with financial success suggests a man who can navigate. Habit number 7, being inauthentic or fake. Cool world effectively has value to offer beyond mere survival. However, there is a fine line between wealth as an attractive trait and wealth as a desperate performance. When a man feels the need to flaunt his money, it no longer serves as an asset, it becomes a sign of insecurity. Women are not repelled by the fact that the man has money. They are repelled by how he wields it when he believes it is the only thing he has to offer. The insecure man announces his wealth before his presence can even be felt. He speaks of his car within minutes of conversation, drops the high-end brands he wears, and ensures that his dining choice reflect luxury rather than personal preference. He does not simply own wealth, needs others to acknowledge it. This is the man who subtly or not so subtly signals his financial status in every interaction, as if the sheer presence of money will override a lack of depth, personality, or confidence. But to a woman who understands value, this approach falls flat. She may nod along, smile apologetically, and even entertain the conversation, but beneath the surface, attraction wanes, not because wealth is unattractive, but because desperation is. A mighty man does not need to showcase his riches to be recognized as valuably as presence, confidence, and the final thoughts, the way he carries himself. Arena to suggest success. Women do not need to be told he is wealthy. They sense sight in his moves, decisions, and the quiet assurance he exudes. His life still speaks for itself. He does not need validation, nor does he seek it. A man genuinely owns his success does not display it like a neon sign. He allows it to exist in the background, naturally revealing itself in time. When a woman encounters a man who embodies this quiet confidence, she is drawn in not by what he has but by who he is. He does not try to impress. He does not overcompensate. If she learns about his wealth, it is through observation, not declaration. She notices the quality of his choices, the effortless way he moves through life, the subtle indicators of abundance that require no explanation. And because he does not lead with his wealth, she understands that his value runs deeper. A man who depends on money to create attraction is a man who at his core doubts his worth. He believes that without financial displays he has nothing to offer. But the irony is apparent: a man who possesses wealth, in every sense, not just financially but in character, experience, and depth, never needs to prove it. He lets the world and the women he attracts discover it independently, and in that quiet confidence, he holds more power than any amount of money ever could. 3. Trying to act young, instead of owning your age. Nothing is more unattractive than a man desperately clinging to youth, not because youth is valuable but because a attempt reveals insecurity. A man who tries too hard to appear young does not come across as youthful, he comes across as uncertain of his worth. Women do not seek older men because they want someone who acts like their younger counterpart. They are drawn to older men for what younger men cannot offer: depth, wisdom, and the quiet confidence that only comes with experience. When a man discards these traits in a misguided attempt to appear youthful, he erases the very things that make him desirable in the first place. This mistake manifests in obvious ways. A man in his 40s or 50s wearing sneakers designed for teenagers, oversized hoodies, or a backward cap does not look stylish. He seems like he is chasing an identity that no longer belongs to him. Language is another giveaway. A man awkwardly forcing modern slang into conversation, dropping no cap, or overusing internet jargon does not sound relevant. He sounds like he is trying too hard. And Thenthar's behavior: the older man who insists on frequenting nightclubs full of 20-year-olds and who surrounds himself with people half his age to blend in, does not appear more youthful. He seems out of place. The irony is that a man's greatest asset as he ages is the very thing he tries to discard: his maturity. A well-dressed man who embraces classic and timeless style commands more respect and attention than a man desperately mimicking trends. A man who speaks with depth, articulating his thoughts with intelligence and poise, is infinitely more compelling than one forcing himself into the latest social media fad. And a man who cultivates his environment, who creates a space that naturally draws people in, never has to chase youth because youth gravitates toward him. Consider men who have remained desirable well into their later years. Sean Connery never pretended to be 25, yet he was a sex symbol in his 60s. He did not chase trends, he embodied timeless masculinities. Confidence did not come from imitating youth but from embracing his identity fully. This is the secret. Most men fail to understand: women are not attracted to age or youth, but to how a man carries himself within it. When a man stops trying to fit into a younger man's world and instead wholly owns his presence, he shifts the dynamic. He is no longer seeking validation, he is offering something rare: a sense of certainty that certainly comes from knowing who he is, and that more than anything is what makes him irresistible for acting like you know everything. Confidence draws women in, but arrogance pushes them away. A man who exudes certainty in himself, speaks with conviction, and remains open to different perspectives is undeniably attractive. The moment that confidence turns into a rigid need to be correct, something shifts. The conversation no longer feels like an exchange, it feels like a lecture. Instead of being engaged, she feels like a student in his classroom. She might smile politely and nod in agreement, but inside she pulls away. Women do not seek men who correct them at every turn. They seek men who respect their intelligence and treat their thoughts as valuable even when they disagree. There is a difference between knowing something and needing others to know that you know it. A truly committed man is not urged to prove himself in every conversation. He does not dominate the discussions with facts and figures, or interrupts to showcase his superior knowledge. He understands that the purpose of a conversation, especially with a woman, is not to win, it is to connect. When a man acts like he knows everything, he unintentionally builds a wall between himself and the woman before him. Instead of inviting her into a dialogue, he forces her into the role of an observer. And when a woman feels hard, like her words are merely opportunities for him to display his expertise, attraction fades. Imagine two men on a date. Upon hearing her opinion on a topic, the first man immediately jumps in to correct her. He lays out the facts, explains why she is mistaken, and speaks as if he is educating her. He believes he is impressing her and showing her his intelligence, but he does not see how she subtly withdraws and how her excitement dims. Now picture this kind man when she shares her thoughts. He listens, he does not interrupt or rush to assert his knowledge. If he disagrees, he engages not to prove her wrong, but with genuine curiosity. He asks questions, explores her perspective, and allows the conversation to flow naturally with him. She feels heard with him, she feels valued, and that is where attraction grows. A woman does not want a professor, she wants a partner. She is not looking for someone to educate her, she is looking for someone to share experiences with, someone who respects her mind as much as he respects his own. The irony is that the men who must most assert their intelligence are often the least secure. Accurate intelligence does not demand recognition, it speaks for itself. The man who understands this does not seek to impress through dominance, he impresses through presence. He listens, engages, and most importantly makes her feel like her thoughts matter, because in the end attraction is not about who knows more, it is about who makes her feel more. 5. Talking down to her like she's a kid. Women do not want to be treated like children, they do not want to be lectured, corrected, or spoken down to as if they're naive. Nothing drains attraction faster than a man who assumes the role of a teacher rather than an equal. When a woman shares something she is excited about, she is not looking for a lesson but engagement. If a man responds with condescend, even unintentionally, it creates a subtle but powerful disconnect. A woman may not immediately realize why she feels less drawn to him, but she will feel it. Imagine she tells a man about a book she just discovered, a fascinating concept, or a new skill she is learning. The wrong response sounds like, "Oh, that's cute, you're just figuring that out," or "You don't really understand it." Though he may think he is playful or helpful, she is dismissed instead of making her feel inspired. He makes her feel small instead of fueling the conversation. He stifles it. Over time, interactions like these erode the connection, leaving her feeling unheard and unappreciated. Attraction thrives in curiosity and mutual respect. A woman is drawn to a man who listens, engages, and encourages, rather than corrects. He does not need to prove his intelligence by making her feel uninformed. Instead, he inspires by sharing ideas that invite conversation rather than shutting it down if she expresses excitement about something. Helready knows the right approach is not to diminish her enthusiasm but to build in it. He can say, "That's a great insight. What made you interested in that?" Or, "Yeah, I love that concept. Have you explored this aspect of it?" This keeps the energy alive, making her feel like she is part of an exchange rather than being lectured. A man who truly understands attraction does not impose his knowledge to establish superiority. He recognizes that connection is built through shared experiences, not one-sided explanations. Values her excitement and sees it as an opportunity to deepen the bond, not a moment to correct her. Women do not need teachers, they need men who inspire and respect their intelligence, and the man who understands this will always hold her attention. 6. Dressing like you've given up on life. Attraction begins long before words are exchanged. It is nonverbal, instinctive, and deeply rooted in how someone presents himself to the world. Women notice everything: posture, grooming, how a shirt fits, even the confidence in a man's stride. They may not consciously analyze these details, but they feel them. A man who dresses like he has given up on himself sends a silent message: "I no longer care." And if he doesn't care, why should she? Many men assume that personality, intelligence, or status will compensate for a sloppy appearance. They believe that once they have achieved a certain level of success, the need to maintain their image diminishes. They mistake comfort for confidence. Living, wearing whatever is convenient, signals security, but in reality it does opposite. It signals complacency. A man who stops putting effort into his appearance is a man who has stopped striving, and nothing is less attractive than a man who no longer aspires for more. Women are drawn to men who embody self-respect, and how a man dresses is one of the most precise indicators of how he views himself. Consider the effortless sophistication of men like George Clooney, Idris Elba, or Pierce Brosnan. These men understand that style is not about trends but presence. Their clothes are never loud, never desperate for attention, but always intentional. A well-fitted suit, polished shoes, and a clean classic haircut do not just make a man look good, they shape how he's perceived. More importantly, they shape how he perceives himself. Dressing well is not about impressing women but about embodying the best version of own self. When a man walks into a room looking sharp, he doesn't just command attention, he owns it. His posture changes, his energy shifts, he moves and speaks differently, and suddenly attraction is no longer something he needs to chase, it becomes something he naturally attracts. Women don't want a man who begs for validation, they want a man who is validation, and that begins with how he carries himself. 7. Being overly possessive and controlling. Attraction thrives on freedom. The moment a man becomes overly possessive and controlling, he suffocates the very energy that made her desire him in the first place. Women are drawn to strength, confidence, and security. But when a man's behavior shifts toward excessive control, it signals something far less attractive: insecurity. He may think he is showing care and protecting the relationship by keeping tabs on her, questioning her choices, or subtly restricting her independence. In reality, he is broadcasting his fear that if she has too much freedom, she will realize she no longer wants him, and that fear more than anything is what drives her away. At first, possessiveness can be mistaken for affection. A woman might find it sweet when a man asks her to text when she gets home, or when he casually inquires about who she spends time with. But over time, these gestures escalate. The simple chats turn into demands. The innocent questions become interrogations. Why didn't you answer my call immediately? Who were you with? I don't trust your friends yet. At time, he tightens his grip. She feels her independence slipping away, and with either attraction to him. What once felt like interest now feels like control. What once felt like love now feels like suffocation. The more he tries to control her, the more she resents him. Women, especially younger women, do not want to feel like they are being treated as property. They want to choose a man, not feel owned by one. She naturally looks for an emotional or physical escape when she starts feeling trapped, and ironically, the very thing he feared the most, losing her, is now becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. A man who truly understands attraction knows that control is an illusion. He cannot force a woman to stay. He cannot demand her loyalty. He cannot manipulate her into loving him more. What he can do, however, is trust in his value. Instead of wasting energy trying to control her, he focuses on being the kind of man she wouldn't want to leave in the first place. Instead of questioning her every move, he builds a fulfilling life without worrying about where she is or what she's doing. Instead of needing constant reassurance, Heston's firm in his worth, knowing that real attraction comes from choice, not the most substantial relationships are not built on control but on trust. A woman is most devoted to a man when free to be with him, when she knows she is not being held there by fear, pressure, or obligation, but by genuine desire. When a man understands, he stops trying to hold on so tightly because he finally realizes that truth. If she genuinely wants to be with him, she will stay. And if she doesn't, no amount of control will ever change that conclusion. The true key to attraction, Asan, older man age, is not the problem. Mindset is a man in his 40s, 50s, or even 60s can be just as attractive, if not more, than his younger counterparts. But secret doesn't lie in chasing youth, overcompensating with wealth, or controlling a woman's choices. Instead, true attraction comes from embracing who you are, owning your experience, and moving through the world with confidence, precision, and self-awareness. Women are naturally drawn to men who radiate strength not through force or arrogance, but through quiet confidence and unwavering self-respect. Most attractive older men are those who lead without controlling, creating an environment where a woman wants to stay, not where she feels trapped, who inspire without lecturing, valuing her thoughts and experiences, instead of constantly trained to teach hurt, who remain grounded in who they are, not needing to pretend to be younger, flash their wealth, or seek constant validation, because their life itself is proof of their value. When a man understands this, he stops making theatrical mistakes that push younger women away. Instead of trying too hard to impress, he becomes a man who naturally draws others in. And the best part, this shift in mindset doesn't just improve his dating life, it transforms every area, his existence, from career success to personal fulfillment. So now I want to hear from you. Have you noticed these patterns in older men, or even in yourself? What lessons have you learned about attraction, confidence, and self-growth? Share your thoughts in the comments below so we can continue this conversation. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you find this video helpful. There's so much more to uncover about relationships, mastery, and the psychology of attraction. See you in the